Actually free will, or is our fate already predetermined for us? The answer to that is unknown, for that our ambitions and dedication may drive us, but it is our own choices that distinguish who we actually are. In William Shakespeare's Macbeth, Macbeth's fate is, in the end, is his fault, and he had numerous chances to stop and make the right decision and spare himself from ultimate dishonor and death, but he didn't try and do what's right, which ultimately caused the tragic death for Macbeth. In the adaptation directed by Roman Polanski, Rupert Gold, and Michael Fassbender, the Fassbender adaptation most accurately captures the punishment that Macbeth deserves. In the productions, lighting is used to portray Macbeth's dark and ill nature and the praise that Macduff deserves. Additionally, the production's use of props keeps the audience on the edge of their seat, watching the intense battle between Macbeth and Macduff. Finally, the different portrayals of the characters throughout the three different adaptations captures the audience with Macduff's and Macbeth's movements. The lighting sets the mood to let the viewers know that a grand battle is bound to happen, and Macbeth is going to receive the punishment he deserves. In Polanski's adaptation, the lighting that is used is from the village where Macbeth and Macduff are fighting. The lighting often shines brightly on both of their faces, exposing their face and, through their eyes, their hate for each other and their desire to kill one another is obvious. The lighting through this scene allows for the viewer to easily distinguish what is going on between the fight. Also, with the lighting being clear and normal, it puts more emphasis on the intensity of the fight between them and just wants the focus to be on Macbeth and Macduff battling. In Fassbender's film adaptation, he uses lighting to create a chilling feeling to the scene. The lighting lets the audience know a battle is coming, and also you can see the feared and sad look on Macbeth's face. Macbeth will still fight Macduff, but he knows his time is coming to an end in this scene. Macbeth's selfish and poor decisions to become king are finally catching up to him, and he is now receiving the punishment that he deserves. In Gold's adaptation, the lighting is dark and eerie, but there is also a light flashing down on Macbeth. The light shining down on Macbeth shows him in an emotional state. Also, when Macbeth comes and is ready to kill him, Macbeth doesn't even bother trying to stop him and lets him shoot away. Macbeth knows his punishment of death is coming soon, but will still try and fight Macduff. When the witches come in, it makes Macbeth freeze up and lets the audience know he is very vulnerable and scared. Overall, the lighting, features, and the final battle scene portrays that Macbeth is finally receiving the punishment that he deserves. Movement plays a major role in films. Movement informs both emotional and physical life to an audience. In Macbeth, movement shows an intense battle between King Macbeth and Macduff, and Macbeth's movements throughout the scene shows that death is near for him and he is going to receive the punishment he deserves. In Polanski's adaptation, movement plays a major role in this scene, with an intense fight to the death battle between Macbeth and Macduff. Macbeth is keeping up with Macduff in the fight at the start, but later becomes much slower. Eventually, Macduff catches him off guard and stabs him through his back. It is at this time that Macbeth realizes he is getting the punishment he deserves and quickly tries to limp away into the castle. But it wasn't enough. Macduff comes up and chops off his head. In Fassbender's adaptation, it shows Macbeth's very dramatic movements in the final moments of his life. Just like Polanski, the audience is shown a dramatic and intense final battle between Macbeth and Macduff. Macbeth puts up a good fight, but in the end he accepts his fate of death, the punishment he deserved. The audience experiences a fierce battle between the two, seeing Macbeth start off strong, but like Polanski, Macbeth slows down and gets very emotional of his death coming. The audience also witnesses Malcolm riding in on a horse, accepting his crown as king, and a younger boy running away into the open field. In Gold's film adaptation, there is a final battle, like in the previous two adaptations, but this one is far more subtle. There's not as much movement in this version compared to the other two. It is more emotional and heated conversations back and forth between Macbeth and Macduff. Although there is a bit of a fight when the two try and kill each other with knives and daggers, but it does not last long because Macbeth gets distracted by the witches entering. When the witches come in, this is when Macbeth realizes his fate and punishment of death is coming. Overall, the movement features in this scene really portray Macbeth's emotional and physical side to the audience. Props play an important role in any film because it makes the film feel more authentic and allows for the actor to play their role more adequately. In Macbeth, props play a major role and really bring the scene to life. In Polanski's adaptation of the film, props are very important and they make the final battle significant. Macbeth and Macduff have a great sword fight, which really grabs the audience to watch because of the intense fight that is going on between them. Macbeth gets killed by Macduff by stabbing a sword through his body, which quickly Macbeth realizes that he's about to die, and he's finally deserving the punishment that he deserves. In Fassbender's adaptation, much like Polanski's, the props used add suspense and excitement. The audience is captured by the heated fight between the two, and the props make the fight very realistic. The large swords they use really shows their significant power and authority, also the armor they're wearing. Macbeth puts up a strong fight against Macduff, but it is not quite enough, and he embraces that he is not going to win this fight, and that his life is coming to an end. In the Gold film adaptation, just like the other two scenes, the props are used to show a realistic fight between the two characters, except in this scene particularly they also have guns. Macbeth, emotionally sitting against the table, doesn't even care when Macduff sprays multiple gunshots at him. Macduff runs at Macbeth, ready to stab him with his dagger, but then Macbeth quickly pulls out a gun and fires at Macduff. The audience is intrigued when the two then start to try and kill each other, fighting with their daggers. Macbeth has Macduff down, ready to kill him. Then witches come in and make Macbeth stop and freeze. This is when Macbeth realizes his fate and death is soon occurring for him. Overall, the props in the scene allow for the battle scene to be very entertaining for the audience. Although all film adaptations of the final battle show a thrilling and tough battle due to the lighting, movement, and props, it is Michael Fassbender's adaptation that captures best that Macbeth's punishment is what he deserved. Roman Polanski's adaptation shows a fierce fight for the crown between Macbeth and Macduff. The lighting on their faces shows the audience how badly Macduff wants to be king and will kill Macbeth at all costs. The stealthy movements by Macduff shows he is ready to be king, and Macbeth is facing his fate of death that he finally deserves. In Gold's adaptation, similar to Polanski's, Macbeth has a bright light shining on him, showing him in an emotional state. Macbeth embraces his fate of death coming soon, but will not go down without an epic fight. The audience is entertained by this fight, with both characters using guns and daggers. Fassbender's film adaptation shows dramatic use of lighting, along with props that grab viewers' attention and make the fight enjoyable to watch. Macbeth puts up a good fight in the scene, and even has Macbeth by his throat, but he realizes his fate and he is bound to die because that is the punishment that he deserves. It is for these reasons that Michael Fassbender's adaptation most accurately captures the punishment that Macbeth deserves.